What is up, Coach Emma here, and welcome back to the Fit Habit Life podcast, where we cut through the noise, talk real health and fitness, sustainable fat loss, and habits that actually work. And on today's episode, I'll be kind of recounting the past couple weeks, just to keep you guys up to date on mold, training, and all of that that's been going back down, but primarily going to talk about sleep. And when I talk through my trip, you'll understand why. And how sleep is so important, not just for body composition change and performance, but for quality of life and just day-to-day living. So anyway, before I jump in, I just wanted to thank you guys for listening. If you've been enjoying the show, if you could rate the show, share the show, or subscribe to the podcast, that just helps me get in front of more people, which helps me help more people, which is the goal of this show. So anyway, let's jump in. Why am I talking about sleep today? Why is that top of mind for me? Well, about a week ago, I got back from about a 10-day trip where I went to California to go to an in-person event for the company I work part-time for, Mind Pump. So I got to meet some clients in person, and I extended that trip because my parents live in California, and my husband and I, because of all the mold stuff, we haven't been able to budget or really plan out a trip that would require us to pay for hotels and other things. So I'm like, well, I already have to go there, and my parents live there, so we can meet them and hang out with them. And my uncle flew in from Montreal, so we hung out with him too, and he was there. And then my parents have a beach house in Pismo Beach, which is one of our favorite spots. So we went there for about 5 days and had a nice time there. Hung out with my parents and uncle and just kind of relaxed a little bit, kind of ish. I'm not very good at relaxing, so did our best to relax. My husband relaxed. He had a very relaxing time. But yeah, so that's where I was, and I didn't calculate how many podcasts I should film, and I was planning on doing one that Sunday that we got back, and I totally forgot. So I missed a podcast episode. And it happens. Not very frequently. It's been happening more. Well, not really. I mean, I've only been podcasting for maybe a year and probably about 6 months now. That's a long time. I've been podcasting for a year and a half. So anyway, I've missed, I think, maybe 4 episodes total or something. And I was like, well, I could do one last minute Thursday, but Thursday ended up being a little bit crazy. So I was just like, it's fine. I just missed one of the Thursdays, and I'll just get right back to it. And here I am recording. So anyway, that's where I went. The in-person client event was super awesome. It was really cool to meet some of my clients in person and get to chat with them. And it's funny when you're online, I always like guesstimate people's heights just mentally, like, oh, you would be here on me. You would be here. You'd be shorter or whatever. And one of my clients was way taller than I thought she was going to be. The other client was shorter than I thought she was going to be, but I had already met her before. So it was just always funny to do that and to hang out with my other coworkers, which is always a lot of fun too. And I'm definitely going to get some of them on the podcast. They have pretty crazy stories and pretty cool life experiences that I think would be cool to kind of dig into and to pick their brains on different things. So that's definitely future plans. I haven't had as many people on the podcast because life's just been a little crazy, and it's kind of like, I love doing these, but it's kind of been more of a last minute thing. Like, oh shoot, I got to do my podcast. Like, it's Sunday, and one is every Monday and Thursday at 8 a.m. Mountain Time is when I release the episodes. So a little last minute this week, but that's okay. We're here and we're doing the thing. So anyway, so future plans, I'm planning on getting more coaches and other cool people on the show just to have a different perspective and to have more banter and more enjoyment, because it is fun to talk to myself. Not really. It's fine. I have a lot to say, so I don't mind saying it, but having other people on here is a lot more fun. So anyway, but yeah, so trip was cool. But I ate out like every day, and a lot of days, multiple times a day. And so moving forward now, like my husband and I are like, okay, we might come up with a better game plan. Because if you're staying with somebody too, you don't want to infringe upon them and what you want to do. So you might, do things that you wouldn't want to do, or you might have less control over the food choices and the things that we're doing and all of that stuff. So it makes it a little bit harder. And whenever I go to Mind Pump in person, they never have a schedule. So I don't know how to plan or prepare. So my type A-ness just has to chill for the couple days whenever I go out there. But yeah, so I ate out multiple times a day for most of the week. And man, that was rough. And part of why it was rough is when I travel, I already have digestive issues. And then I was having sleep issues because where I was sleeping, the temperature was all over the place. And yeah, so I didn't sleep well. My digestion was terrible, which was partly from travel, partly from the trip. I was on a mold protocol, so I was just feeling really terrible because we're still going through that process. And so for those of you who haven't maybe listened to me before or heard what the protocol entails, but basically, I take a bunch of antimicrobials, but my body the antimicrobials kill the toxins, but my body has to process the toxins. So I need to sweat and have regular bowel movements because those are part of the ways that your body gets rid of junk out of the body, right? So like sweating, urine, bowel movements. Yeah, and staying hydrated was harder too. Staying hydrated was tough. Eating my normal amount of fiber was tough. Eating better quality foods was tough. Stress because of poor sleep and just travel stress screwed up my digestion. So anyway, basically I was feeling really rough. And I have the Ragnar event, so I'm like, well, I still got to do my training. I definitely made adjustments, and my intensity in the gym was not there. I mean, I couldn't push. The other weird thing, I really struggled to get carbs in because I wasn't preparing most of my food. And when you go out to eat, people are like, oh, it's high in carbs. And it's like, no. It's high in fat. Like, going out to eat is extremely high. Those meals are extremely high in fat. So if you're tracking your macros at all, and you're tracking the meals out that you have, the carb intake's not that high. And for me right now, depending on the day, I have to eat close to 500 grams of carbs if I'm doubling up running and lifting on the same day. And that's like almost impossible to get at a restaurant unless you're literally eating the basket of bread and maybe getting pasta and saying no sauce and no oil and no butter because all the other stuff has oil and butter and fat. So anyway, it was really hard to get enough carbs. Sleep was terrible, so my energy levels were terrible. My digestion was super off. So that impacted my sleep and how I felt and my ability to perform. And the nights that I got the best sleep were when I had a beer, which is absolutely insane because those of you who don't know, I always talk about how terrible I feel whenever I drink. So anyway, so on the health perspective, trip was suboptimal. It was a lot of fun. I did a lot of cool stuff. Got to run with some teammates, got some cool trail runs in, got some nice time on the beach. The water was contaminated with weird bacteria, so we didn't actually go in the water. But I ran on the beach, we walked on the beach, we got to hang out by the beach, and Pismo Beach has some really good restaurants. And so for context, the beer that I had was, there's a brewery there that's like a microbrewery, and they brew these really cool beers. Anyway, so it's not like I'm having a Coors Light or something. It's like, no, this is a cool, fancy Belgian style dark ale that this tiny brewery came up with that they don't sell in stores. So usually I have at least one when I'm down there, but we had it twice and it was so worth it. And they pickle their own vegetables and it's so good. They do these pickled beets and pickled fennel, and I need to figure out how to make it. I mean, it's just insane. So anyway, that being said, really good food, a little too much good food. But I was like, man, I'm walking close to 20,000 steps a day. I was still getting my training sessions in, lifting and running. So I'm like, well, I need to eat, and my digestion's off. But I know if I don't eat anything or not enough, like, I'm going to feel really terrible the next day. So partly how I justified some of the pizza and pasta that I ate. But anyway, so that was my trip. And the reason I wanted to talk about sleep today is, man, that really impacted my recovery. Like, it was insane how rough my body felt and how poor my recovery was. And I think part of that is sleep, right? Not getting enough sleep, not getting enough good quality sleep, really. Because I was in bed maybe 10:30, maybe latest. And I'd sleep until 6. So almost in bed for over 8 hours for most days. And I just felt terrible. My body was tight and sore. Recovery just wasn't there. And part of it was carbs. Like I said, it was really hard to get enough carbohydrates in my diet. And so that's super important for performance and fueling training and fueling running. So I didn't have that. I even packed some stuff, but still, like some gels and gummies. It's just hard. It's just hard to get carbs in if you're eating out all the time, which is funny because that's what most people tend to connect to, like, oh, this food's going to make you fat because it's high in carbs. It's like, no, it's high in calories because it has refined carbohydrates and a lot of fat. Fat is 9 calories per gram. Carbs are about 4. So when you think about it from that perspective, it's like, oh, same like palm-sized portion of fat versus carbs is going to have 2.5 more calories, 2.25 times more calories than the palm-sized portion of carbs. Think about that. But anyway, yeah. So recovery was terrible, and I don't think that I sleep that well. I mean, but after that trip, I'm like, I get great quality sleep at home. And there's for a couple reasons. So I'm gonna talk through like what I do at home that definitely helps my sleep quality, and what really impacted my sleep quality on the trip. So, number one thing that I do that I think really helps me is I keep the same sleep schedule all week long for the most part. I go to bed between 9 and 10. I wake up around 5. Sometimes a little bit earlier, but I'm not waking up earlier because I'm like... Anyway, I've woken up at 3 with hormonal issues, and part of that was due to the mold toxicity, but I didn't realize that at the time. But no, like I might wake up at 4:30 or something, and it's because I went to bed at 9:30, and that part of my cycle, I only needed about 7 hours of sleep, and I feel good and well rested and ready to go. So usually 4:30, 5:30 wake up, and 9 to 10 bedtime-ish. So I get 7 to 8 hours of sleep most nights, and keeping that routine consistent has drastically improved my sleep quality. And I started doing this, having like a sleep routine, when I was in college, my senior year, or summer leading into senior year. I did a master's swim team. So master's is like the old people swimming. It's like post high school, usually post college, like most college kids don't do it. But when you're out of high school, there's no like swim club. It's like master's team. So there was a swim club near where I went to school, and actually where I grew up. And shout out to Santa Clara Swim Club. They would have practice at 5:30 or 6, depending on the season, to 7 or 7:30. So I started doing that to stay in shape, because in summer for water polo in college we didn't have practice. So I would keep my sleep routine pretty dialed in when I started doing that, because I'm like, well, I got to be up at 5. And I had a disordered relationship with exercise. So I'm like, if I don't get my swim in, I'm going to be fat. That's not true. But, and then I was also like performance side of things. I'm like, no, I want to get better. Most of it was body image stuff, but yeah. So I had to get my swimming in was my mindset. So I'm like, I got to wake up at the same time every day because I have to be there at that time every day. And it was Monday through Friday. And then I would just kind of keep that routine. And on the weekends, I would trail run or hike or lift. I never took a day off. I don't recommend that now. Today's a rest day for me, and Friday was a rest day. I did 2 rest days this week because my legs needed it for a whole nother issue that I'll probably talk about another time. But that sleep schedule that I created when I was a senior in college, I was 21. I've kind of kept it for most of my adult life. I kind of shifted it a little bit here and there, but for about 7 years, I've had the same sleep schedule and routine. And since doing that, my quality of sleep has been so much better because my body's used to it. It knows bedtime. So it'll optimize for that. It's like, let's get the most out of these sleep hours. When it's getting close to 9, I start to get sleepy and I look at my watch and I'm like, it's bedtime. My husband's like, no, it's not. I'm like, yeah, it is. It's 9. And sometimes he takes a little bit longer to get to bed than I do. But once I hit the pillow, usually I'm out. And yesterday specifically, I did a run hike. So I walked the incline and then ran the straights and the downhill. And then I did my lower body lift that I couldn't do on Friday. And I was tired. I ate a lot, but still, I was really tired. I couldn't fit more food in my tummy. So my legs are a little sore today. But today's a full rest day and I'm still eating lots of carbs. So we'll be good. But anyway, so my head hit the pillow and I was out. So I go to bed, and some days, again, I'm a little less tired. I might go to bed closer to 10, especially if my husband and I are hanging out or doing something or whatever. But that tends to be the sleep routine and really good quality sleep. So that's number one thing I recommend most people have some sort of sleep routine. And that can include like a wind down routine before bed. And so what I do is I will wear blue light blockers about an hour before bed. And that just helps kind of calm, less stimulating. Because, okay, I like to play video games and watch TV with my husband. That's just what we like to do to hang out. And the video games I play tend to be less stimulating. I'm not like playing a fighting game or some like really crazy thing that's like super stimulating. I might play like a little RPG or like a little puzzle game or something. Anyway, so I wear the blue light blockers, and that is a little bit less stimulating than if I had the bright lights like right in my eyes. And so that helps too. And so that leads me to my sleep rule that will help a ton, that I talk through with most of my clients. And it's the 3-2-1 sleep rule. Basically, 3 hours before bed, stop eating. 2 hours before bed, stop drinking fluids. And 1 hour before bed, stop using electronics. And that's where the blue light blockers come into play. But most people wake up in the middle of the night to pee. And that's oftentimes because people don't drink enough water throughout the day. And they're chugging water at the end of the day. And then it's like, well, if you're in bed for like 8 hours, you're probably going to have to pee during that time, which is why you wake up and that disrupts your sleep. And then because the blue light's very stimulating, if you think back caveman times, we didn't have anything stimulating. When the sun went down, it's like cool bedtime. Or sit by the fire or whatever. But, we naturally had natural signals to shut off. Whereas now we don't have that. We can have lights on all the time. And then the food, and part of why and this is one of the things that happened when we were traveling. So if my stomach is full, it's really, really hard for me to go to sleep and feel good. And it's really uncomfortable if you've eaten a lot of food and your stomach is full and distended. It does not feel good to try to go to sleep. Like, really, it feels awful. I hate it. And so usually my husband and I eat between 5 and 6 p.m. because we go to bed between 9 and 10. So we get like that solid 3 to 4 hours. And I feel better the earlier I eat because my body has time to digest the food and to break it down. Also, going to bed on a full stomach can cause acid reflux or silent reflux, which can cause a whole bunch of weird sinus symptoms, clogged ears, and a bunch of other things. So, anyway, eating close to bed, not great for optimal sleep quality. And that's the other thing. My parents and I have a very different routine and eating behavior and patterns, and they eat between like 7 and 8 p.m. And I'm over here eating between 5 and 6. So, some nights we ate on their time. Partly why I slept really terribly. And so something that I'm working through is setting boundaries, not in a way to make somebody feel bad, but I need to better show up for myself in certain situations that are uncomfortable because it just doesn't feel good for me and I'm going to be a pain in the ass to be around. So that's something I've been working through, and this trip really solidified that. I don't like to eat late. I don't feel good. It causes me to sleep poorly, which affects me the entire next day. So the last night we actually did our own thing because they didn't even have plans for dinner. And I'm like, I'm hungry, Joe. Joe's like, me too. I'm like, cool, let's get a beer and have Italian food. And we did that and it was great. But yeah, so don't eat close to bed. If you do that, try not doing that and your sleep's going to really improve. And then just another thing that I've learned through and like paid more attention to recently is temperature. So in my parents' house, the room that we stay in when we stay there, for some reason, I have no idea why. It's so weird. The guest room, only the guest room. The AC does not run very well in that only that room. So in the morning, I'd get up and I'd go out in the hallway. I'd be cold, but the whole night I'm like sweating and it's like way too hot and it doesn't make any sense. So I don't know why that is. If you run an HVAC company, if you could figure that out, let me know so I can tell them. That'd be cool. But yeah, temperature really affects sleep. So most people do better in about 65 to 70 degrees. We get better sleep quality when our temperature is cooled down. I don't remember why. I just know from personal experience that is a fact. So if your house is really hot, maybe open the windows, get a fan, get a fancy bed cooling system. That'll drastically improve your sleep quality. And trust me, it makes a huge impact. When we got home, I slept so much better. And our house, like, we keep it at about 75. But, I'm so glad. It felt like it would get to like 80. My husband is like a space heater, so that doesn't help. And the AC wasn't running. We even left the window open, and it didn't really feel like it did that much. So, temperature, really important. And then this is the one that's harder to change for a lot of people. Caffeine. Caffeine is not good for sleep quality if you're having it close to bedtime. And everybody's caffeine half-life is different. So some people can have caffeine like 5 hours before bed and have no sleep problems. But some people need, like 12 plus hours for their body to break down caffeine and get it out of their system to where it's not affecting their sleep. So this is kind of you need to kind of feel it out sort of thing, because everybody's body metabolizes things differently. But generally speaking, I recommend not having caffeine afternoon, or if you want to push it, like after 2. So that's kind of the tip. And if you're like having caffeine before bed now, just slowly start to move that forward. Maybe swap to decaf. Slowly push your caffeine time to before noon. And you'll notice a huge impact. Whenever I have a client that does it, they're like, whoa. And I'm like, I know. So to summarize, caffeine, 3-2-1 sleep rule, temperature. I guess those were kind of the main talking points. But anyway, sleep affects not only your performance, and that was the biggest thing, like my body just wasn't recovering well. It not only impacts your performance, but it impacts your ability to lose body fat as opposed to muscle tissue. And it affects your hunger and fullness signals. So your body has hormones, leptin and ghrelin. Ghrelin tells you you're hungry, leptin tells you you're full. Those hormones become dysregulated when your sleep is dysregulated. So it makes it really hard to be able to listen to your body if you're not getting good sleep quality. So that's kind of the gist. So prioritize sleep. If you struggle to prioritize sleep, please reach out. Let me know. You can just shoot me a message on Instagram. We can either do a consultation where I can just give you some feedback. No pressure. If you want to work with me, great. If you don't want to, that's totally fine too. But people who do work with me get better results. But if you're like, hey, you know what? I know I need to work on this and I need accountability. Again, just shoot me a message. We can do a phone call or we can just start you right away. So that is that. But don't sleep on sleep. It's super important, and hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Peace.